everybody, I'm Zenith, Warrior Princess, and welcome back to Diving Into DuckTales, the show where Kat Macberrie and Doug Macberrie react to DuckTales, and I get sick and can't do it anymore. We'll be discussing that in a second, but before we begin, how's it going, Kat?
Happy autumn, everyone. Well, it is today, anyway. And it will be by the time you're listening to this.
By the time this podcast is up, it'll be, a couple weeks afterwards, because I have a lot of stuff to put out in the October month. There's a lot going on. But before we get into that, how's it going, Doog?
Glom Gold! Glom
Gold!
Gold!
Glom
Glom
Gold!
Gold!
Glom Gold!
I am doing well. I have finally gotten a full-time job, so I is happy.
Yay!
Yay!
Hooray! So before we talk about, DuckTales and the season that happened and the finale and everything, I do have to address what's going on with me in terms of diving into DuckTales, because I haven't been in an episode for a very long time. I've had several surgeries. I had my orchiectomy about a month or two ago, and it went well, but I'm still trying to kind of get back on my feet, because today we had some problems arise that I hope is not with the surgery, but if I have to duck out for a few minutes and edit that out of the podcast, that might happen today. The gist is, I am still trying my best to get better, but there are some complications. So, with that being said, Doug and Kat have pretty much taken over the show.
'Twas our plan all along.
And it always will be!
But no, I really want to thank you guys for stepping up and taking over, because I have fun watching their reactions and seeing what, how they feel about the episodes. I've been watching along with them. Every time Kat posts a new episode, I've been watching the new episode, and I've been pretty much on target with that, even though I can't really, put out a video every single day. It's nice that they have stepped up, they are doing well, and Kat has expressed interest in, doing more stuff like this on her channel, because she likes doing the live reactions so much. So, you guys, you did a good job. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Clap, 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 clap.
Pat.
Thank you so much. And we do plan to do more of these in the future for other shows that we watch, like Disenchanted and She-Ra, maybe Hero Academia, Food Wars. It depends, but it's stuff that we are already watching that, we don't want to get into a show blind just yet. But we're going to create a new channel for that. Probably come out sometime next year, but we'll keep you abreast of that.
Mm-hmm. And with that being said, for the foreseeable future, they're going to be taking over the live reactions for individual episodes, and we'll probably be doing like a start of the season podcast, mid-season, and then end of season podcast, given these duck bombs keep coming out of nowhere and we don't know what the seasons are half the time.
I mean, I'm going to take a stab at this and say that, because this seems to be a thing going on with a lot of the, cartoons. Like Adventure Time was doing this, Steven Universe was doing this, and recently, like Infinity Train, basically, like everything aired almost all at once. And I feel like it's because, we're consuming media differently. And a lot of it is like, where Netflix will release a entire season of something, at once, instead of, doling it out over, the course of weeks or so. So I feel like this is kind of what's going to be happening with everything going forward. I feel like, because I mentioned in the live reaction during Moonvasion, that I think that Disney Plus would become like the new home for DuckTales, and I feel it's sort of along the line of how when Nickelodeon kind of, I don't want to say they screwed the pooch on it, but it's like they, all of a sudden just up and decided to, midway through the season, just start streaming it only. So I feel like in that sense, that's what a lot of media is going to start doing. So I feel like television is very much changing and, moving into that kind of a medium.
That is very true, and that does raise a question that I've had because I actually realized that I have Disney Now in my cable package, which I did not know, so that's how I've been keeping up with DuckTales. My question is, when I eventually get Disney Plus, because I'm going to get it because we do the Disney debate and DuckTales and whatnot, I'm just wondering, is Disney Now still going to be a thing? Because most of that stuff is just going to be on Disney Plus.
Good question.
I feel like initially it'll still be there, but I've noticed like in the past with like Disney Movies Anywhere and like right now Disney Movie Rewards, they're kind of like moving away from certain things. They're trying to, they have something up for a while, and then as something new is starting to come out, they kind of do away with the old. So I'm going to say ultimately they're probably going to get rid of it in favor of just the paid service, but it's very early to tell at this point.
I mean, it's a shame because, like, while they don't have a lot of movies, they do have some DCOMs, and they have a ton of shows, which I do want to actually sit down and watch. I just don't really have the time to do so because I've been in and out of the hospital for the entire year. But, I can actually put on Disney Now in the background and listen to stuff while I'm watching, while I'm playing a video game. I'm not sure if Disney Plus is going to be like that. I have already asked them to give me a reminder come November once it's actually up, because we have a list of the stuff that they're putting on there, and that's going to help us a lot going forward. They actually have the Apple Dumpling Gang in the list, which I'm just like, yes, I don't have to track that down.
They still don't have Parent Trap 2 through 5, though. Sorry, 2 through 4. 2 through 4, sorry.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of stuff that we're actually looking for. They don't have the TV movies, TV movie versions of Shaggy Dog and the Absent-Minded Professor and stuff that people keep asking us about. But they do have a lot of good stuff, and they have all these Marvel shows and movies, and I'm just like, okay. Another thing I noticed about Disney Now is that they have every episode of Pokemon available there. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize this until I started looking through stuff. And I'm like, I should probably start my Pokemon journey. Maybe turn that into a podcast or something. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Don't step on Suede's shoes.
Well, Suede's a good friend. He'll probably ask to be in on it. But, with that being said, there's a lot of things that are up in the air in terms of how they're airing the seasons, but because they release like 10, 15 episodes at once, it's very hard for me to keep up unless I'm there for the live reactions. And unfortunately, they're down in Jersey, and I'm up here in Rhode Island. And the last time I tried to go south, I got as you saw, I got in the path of a hurricane, and I got blown back to Rhode Island.
That was your own fault.
Yeah, that's what you get for stealing all the floof.
That's what I get for stealing the floof. I went down to Charleston, South Carolina, to visit Nash and Grady and Griff, because Griff had mentioned that she wanted to, she wanted me to visit, and she wanted to have me try on some of her old goth girl clothes, which actually fit me perfectly, which I'm very happy about. And we decided like months ago, okay, I'm gonna go down Labor Day weekend. Little did we know that would actually be a hurricane time. So
It's drawn to your gravitational pull.
It was drawn into my gravitational pull. When I was 2 hours away from there, they had the evacuation notice, and so that was fun. Nothing was open except for Perkins, but I got to guest star on Radio Dead Air. That was a lot of fun. I got to pet the floof on live TV, and I have a picture of me when Grady actually meowed at me and jumped into the bed with me. So that was fun. But I'm planning to go back January when it's not hurricane season. Unfortunately, because of the hurricane, like my initial plan was to come like on my way up because, you know, Jersey's on the way to Rhode Island. I was going to go see these guys and we're going to record Diving Into DuckTales together. Lo and behold, everything was closed. They closed down highways. They closed down tunnels. It took me, I think I messaged you at like 4 a.m. or something when I finally got to Jersey.
Mm-hmm. And by that point, I'm just like, look, just go to fuck home already. You've been through enough.
So I'm sorry I've kind of been absent from Diving Into DuckTales for a little bit. My plans kind of fell through, and especially this year, my health has not been the best. I'm trying to make it through, and I'm trying my best to make sure everything runs properly, but Kat and Doug have been very good assistants in that regard.
Just doing our best.
On that note, let us talk about this season of DuckTales, because season 2 of DuckTales was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Woohoo.
I think the first thing that we should address is that when we first started the season, one of the things that we were talking about was we weren't sure where the plot was going, because it didn't seem like there was any centralized villain. There was stuff with Della, and that was resolved, and we're wondering where it was going. But now that we've actually gotten to the end of the season, I'm kind of impressed how well they tied the plot threads together, because a lot of it was about Louie Incorporated, a lot of it was about Della, and a lot of it was about the Mooninites.
And Glom Gold, don't forget Glom Gold.
And a lot of it was about Glom Gold. And they all had their journeys this season, and they somehow all tied together. And you didn't see it coming in the beginning of the season. Kat, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I had a good idea of a few things that were going to happen, but some of the twists that happened, I definitely did not see coming. Like, like some of them just freaking blew my mind, and like, and given that they were doing this one day at a time, it's not like I could binge it all at once, so I had time to like theorize. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, what if Donald does return this season? Oh God, what if the Mooninites actually like managed to like take over the Earth, and we don't find out the results until next season? Like, there was so much going through my head as to what would happen. But for what did happen, I was very satisfied with, very much indeed.
And Mr. Doog, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically the same mind as Kat on that one. It's one of those things where it was like with like Adventure Time, where you would have these episodes that at first glance they just seem so completely random, and you know, you think it's just going to be a one-shot thing, but then it's like some episodes later they come back to it and it winds up being like some big important plot, you know, thing. And that's definitely a way that I feel about how this season went. Like from the very beginning, where we have like the most dangerous game night, who would have guessed, you know, that this sort of mundane episode turns out to be the start of the Louie Incorporated plot thread. I mean, I feel like last season it was all about you know, Dewey. This season's been Louie driven, so I feel like season 3 is definitely going to be like a Huey centric season. But yeah, and then also, you know, you get that surprise with you know, Glom Gold having this surprise arc of, him being Duke Baloney, and then he comes back and starts this, contest with Scrooge that goes, you would never have guessed with a villain so random that he winds up being like so centric to this plot and ultimately winds up being sort of the hero of it in the end. So yeah, there was that. And then, of course, Della getting back back to Earth, and at the same token, Donald going back up to the moon himself. So it was like, yeah, this season was crazy, but God, I love it.
Glom Gold, the savior of Earth.
Glom Gold is the unsung hero of our generation.
Oh, and even like the second episode with Feathery, it's like you just think that one's a one-off, and then he winds up being a big part of the finale as well. It's like, what the hell?
They, I think, more than season 1, do a great job of taking these plot threads and tying them all together. The Harpies come back in the later episodes from Harp Be Gone. Like, there are things that I did not think would come back that do. And the only thing that I'm a little bit upset about is they don't address how Celine didn't know about the Moonanites.
That is still, like, a sore point with me. Like, I'm glad that they kind of acknowledged it and had her finally step in and do something about them after, they tried to blow up the Earth. But it's annoying that it took her this freaking long to actually do anything. Like, come on, you don't check in on the thing that you're in charge of every once in a while. You didn't notice one of your dear friends being stranded up there for a decade. You didn't notice this whole fucking society of homicidal aliens that want Earth dead. Like, come on.
It's frustrating, not just because the season is so well put together, but because the stuff with Storkeles and, he goes out of the picture and they find out, oh, he's been grounded because Zeus has this, whole big rivalry with Scrooge. Okay, this makes sense. There are so many things that they put together that actually make sense. For example, we mentioned, oh, why didn't Della discover the Moonanites right away? Well, because Lunaris had this whole plan. He'd been intercepting her signals, and he'd been planning the invasion of the moon the entire time. Every single thing was according to his plan, and it makes sense why there were gaps in, there were plot holes that were, things that were seemingly plot holes actually get explained later on, but Celine is the big one for me.
I gotta say, though, when I was rewatching the episodes in Season 2, I realized they actually were dropping hints early on about Lunaris being the big baddie. Because at one point, toward the end of the episode, whatever happened to Della Duck, when, of course, Penumbra is acting all suspicious and everything, and the last line of the episode was, "Watch your back, Earther," and if you look behind her, Lunaris is standing right behind her. Like... And then the same thing when he's talking about... the moon and what his father did when he was in charge and how it drove them under the moon, and that's what led to the war with the moon mites and everything. Like, all the pieces were there to give you the hint that this guy was gonna be the big baddie and try to, take over Earth. So it's subtle, but it's noticeable.
I will say I do, initially I was not a big fan of the Moonanites as the big bad, but after seeing the season finale and seeing how his plan worked, I'm like, yes, this is amazing. Not just because he planned everything really well, but because we get to see how the plan started. Like, I love seeing the footage of him testing the rockets and just all the different, phases of his plan. He knows every single one of his allies. He stopped the Unstoppable bomb. Like, there are some really interesting ideas here, and Lunaris proves himself to be a fantastic threat. It's just there's stuff that you don't know until near the end of the season. I kind of feel it would have been interesting to know a little bit more earlier on, but even still, you wouldn't have that impact of, oh, he knew everything. He knew every little bit of it. He knew to attack where Scrooge would hurt, and it's like, as much as I want to find fault in certain things, I'm like, he's just such a brilliant bastard. He read your book.
He certainly did. Like, the extensive research, like, oh my god. Like, he's easily the most competent bad guy that has ever gone up against Scrooge. Like, it's really damn impressive. At least it would be really damn impressive if he didn't resort to the, oh, I'm just gonna blow everybody up at the end. It's like, dude, you were doing so well, and then you had to go full-on crazy psychopath.
Wait a minute, are we the bad guys?
Like, he was willing to blow up his own people just to get back at the Earth. Like, really, dude, you are that fucking petty? Come on.
I do like that he became the second moon, though.
That's gonna be interesting. You know he's gonna come back, though, definitely. Once he figures out
He's probably gonna come back.
Yeah. Once he figures out how to enter Earth's atmosphere without burning to a crisp.
Doug, what are your thoughts on Lunaris and the Moon Knights as of now?
Yeah, I agree that he was not necessarily, you would have never seen it coming, but yeah, he definitely drops some hints very subtly over the course. So when he is revealed to be a villain, it's like at first surprising, and then you realize, oh wow, this guy's actually, he's coherent. I lost my train of thought.
A legitimate threat.
Yeah, he's legitimate. He's, he's in control of the situation. You never would have guessed until like the whole confrontation with Donald. It's like, wow. Just wow. But then again, it's like he's also got that whole thing of the planet Moon.
The moon is not a planet.
I just love his plan was to make the Earth revolve around the moon, and I'm just like, how the hell does that work? Like, where did you learn your science, sir? That is not how gravitation works.
I will use rockets. Just shut up.
Oh my god. But yeah, that was easily the highlight, though, of the first new episode, Whatever Happened to Donald Duck. Because, like, seeing Donald go through the whole base, like, Die Hard style, and then his confrontation with Lunaris, that was kick-ass. I really like that. And I like that it corresponded with the explanation of his anger, of his very deep-rooted anger.
I love it. I love that they finally established, okay, he's angry all the time because, he feels justfully so. The world is out to get him because he has the worst luck in the entire world.
And nobody understands him, literally.
Yeah. And so he channels that into anger foo to protect the kids. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Mm-hmm. That's so sweet.
Although, there was one point when they were showing Lunaris' plan, how he's been, like, monitoring every single aspect of Scrooge's life, like, all of his allies, where he's traveled to and all that. At one point, I think they actually showed the triplets' dad. Because if you notice that when they're showing his family tree, you see Della, and then across from her is this like person that gets X'd out, and then you see the triplets on the bottom. And at first I'm thinking, wait, is that Donald or is that their dad? Because I tried pausing it, but I couldn't get like a clear picture of it. But I'm really curious now if that's their little Easter egg for the next thing they're going to be tackling with the show.
That could be the next mystery, because we know a lot about Della, but come to think of it, we know nothing about their father. I mean, Donald is basically their father, as we see in most of this season, because Donald protects them. He's the one who sang to them when they were kids. Like, Donald is best dad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to assume, like, their dad is, like, legit dead. Because I'm pretty certain, like, given Lunaris' extensive research, he probably would have discovered if he was, like, still alive or something. Like, my only guess would be, like, if he was, like, sent to, like, an alternate dimension or something like that. But then it'd kind of be repeating, like, the whole Della arc again.
I mean, it would be nice if he could come back, but honestly, I feel like that would be repeating things. And unless it has something to do with something we'll discuss in a little bit, because I don't want to bring them in just yet because there's a lot to talk about. But I'll bring it up in a little bit. For now, let us move on to Glom Gold, because Glom Gold is a huge part of this season, and I want to discuss this because Glom Gold is the hero. Glom Gold is the only person who could have taken down Lunaris because his plans make no sense. Well, him and Gladstone's luck, but even still, Glom Gold was the one who stopped the villain.
I just that was like so amazing. Like, it's perfect because you would think, given Lunaris' research, he would know all about Glom Gold, which it's shown he does. But I think it's also he doesn't know that much about him. He probably didn't predict that Glom Gold would actually help Scrooge to the point where it was actually like it was so counterproductive that it actually foiled his own plan.
Like, I think, given Glom Gold's history, he wouldn't suspect that Scrooge would ally himself with his mortal enemy. As we've seen in Season 1, they don't like each other.
Clearly.
So, like, just the fact that them working together, the fact that him dressing as Santa Claus, his mortal enemy, like, there are things that you don't predict, and they just happen, and they're so brilliant. I love it so goddamn much.
This is kind of like with Avengers Infinity Wars, where the least likely scenario in which they win ends up being, like, the one that makes the most sense, in a weird, twisted way.
Time, history, you rascal, stop repeating yourself. God, there's just so much awesome in that finale, in the way that Glom Gold goes, especially because in order to get to this point, they had to learn that Glom Gold was in fact Duke Baloney. They had to have the bet, and the bet had to lead to Louis getting his money. So he's now a subsidiary of McDuck Enterprises, which I thought was pretty awesome. And
I love how he tricked Scrooge into giving him back the company. In the whole thing, he managed to pull that off.
no take-backs on Christmas.
It's not Christmas!
Then why is Santa here?
And don't forget sharks and parkas.
Oh, the sharks and parkas
call it
is
a
amazing.
I do love how when he introduces himself in, like, that episode, he's doing, like, the Jaws reference where he scratches his nails.
Screech!
So he's making a reference to Jaws, and his plan involves sharks. That's kind of brilliant.
I love when he's showing the presentation and he's doing a push-up with his chin.
Oh, yeah. Classic Glom Gold.
Classic Glom Gold.
And I love they use the new the takeover version in the episode the Glom Tales. That was just
Glom Tales was my favorite goddamn episode. Well, I mean the end, the finale was amazing too, but Glom Tales had the Glom Gold takeover song. It was
Oh, by the way, something I didn't realize upon the first and second viewing, but I found out later through the trivia online. Glom Gold actually says Ma Beagle's first name in the episode Glom Tales. Guess what her name is?
Oh, I didn't notice this. What is her name?
Catherine.
Oh, Catherine.
That's my name.
So you're going to have a bunch of beagles running around, and you're gonna start stealing stuff now?
Totally.
But it's not spelled the same way.
Yeah, I know, but I can easily change that in time. The point is, they name dropped me in DuckTales, and by Glom Gold, so I am immensely satisfied.
So yeah, we got a great arc for Glom Gold. Speaking of a little side note, I just want to thank you guys for uh, getting Diving Into DuckTales approved by David K.
Yeah, well, we were going to RetroCon, and he happened to be a guest there, so we're thinking, we just can't pass up this opportunity. Like, we have to. And sure enough, he was, like, excited to do it,
And
too.
I'm excited about that. And then I learned, because I'm playing Ratchet Tools of Destruction for my next Should You Complete This, and I'm looking at the voice cast, and David K voices Clank.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh god. So like I kind of wish I had known that, because I would have gotten something for that. But yeah, David K is very wonderful and nice, and he approves of Diving Into DuckTales. And so yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, he approves of something he's never watched. But hey, we're promoting a thing he's in, so I think he's happy regardless.
No, he was excited when we mentioned that we were doing a DuckTales podcast. He did light up. Yeah.
So that's really awesome. Yeah, like this season overall has been something that I've been very, very engaged with, because I couldn't predict where it was going. And I think the difference between this and season one is season one went for the obvious villain of Magica. We all know about Magica. We all knew kind of where it was going. And yeah, we had the side detours with certain villains, and we had Gizmo Duck and whatnot. But I could never have predicted from the start that Darkwing Duck would be coming back and would be a major player, especially in the finale. And there's just so much things that I think worked about this season. Unpredictable, but it was tied so well together. The development for Della and Louie was great. Louie in general was one that I was shocked to finally see him learn humility, because from the very beginning I was like, he's probably going to take the path of Goldie, and then he learns the hard way that Goldie is Goldie. And then he goes through all his crazy schemes, and he learns after the bomb bee incident that, maybe I should try to do what Scrooge does.
You know what I find funny is that Scrooge has like been trying to stop Glom Gold from becoming the richest duck in the world, but at the same time I'm thinking, wait, if he does, then he gets the Bombi curse. So all you have to do is conveniently let the Bombi out, and then you take care of two problems. It's just funny that thought never crossed his mind.
Then again, the Bombi curse, I don't know. He had the Bombi locked up, and he didn't think that on his first day, Louie would take down the defense satellites and that. So, I mean, would he be so petty as to release the Bombi on Glom Gold?
Probably not. I mean, Scrooge is all about, being square and doing everything the honest way, so I guess he wouldn't, despite how much he hates Glom Gold and all the aggravation he puts him through. It just, I just can't help but wonder if, at any point in their history, he ever thought of just giving him enough of his fortune to, make that happen.
Yeah, there was a lot with Louie, but a lot of it was him finally just learning humility and, learning that he had to do honest work. Especially after being grounded and not getting to go on that amazing side vacation.
To the big rock candy mountain.
Now I want to go there.
Honestly, now that I've rewatched it, I'm kind of glad that Della came down so hard on him, because... yeah, after a couple of times of him doing this, you can tell he obviously hasn't learned the lesson. It has not sunk in. So I'm glad he finally got some form of consequence for that. Because it felt like at this point the rest of the family was just enabling him. They're just like, oh, classic Louie. He may have messed up, but he learned his lesson. It's all good. It's like, yeah, but he also almost blinked you all out of existence. So, come on, is anybody gonna say anything?
Yeah, I was just like, Louis, I think you need to learn that, destroying the space-time continuum is a little bit serious. Just a little bit serious.
Like, you could tell that Scrooge has been trying to guide him, but at the same time, he's really only been, trying to, like, mentor him and not really nurture, not try to discipline him. So I think that was where the problem lied.
And I mean, Scrooge learned something too. He learned humility himself, which I thought was something interesting because I never thought we'd get much Scrooge character development this season because we got most of that last season with him, his family kind of reining him in. But that was interesting for his character too.
Yeah, I did like that part where like Louis helps him not only to like lift the curse on himself but Scrooge as well. Cause like it's weird because Scrooge had kind of been trying to teach him the lesson the whole time, but Scrooge didn't realize that he himself also needed that lesson. So it was kind of a nice roundabout way, and of course it brought Scrooge back right to where he started, which was a nice touch.
Alrighty, and now that we're done talking about the big character development of the season, I want to talk about the big reveal at the end of the episode of Fowl, because, oh my god, I didn't see this coming, and oh my god, it's been in plain sight. The day manager was the evil character all along. I knew it. I knew it.
Oh my god, that threw me for a fucking loop. But like, it's weird because I had theorized in the past. I'm like, what other adventures could they possibly go on? Because they now have like referenced Shush and they reference Fowls. So they were a thing, and I always wondered if they would come up again. And now it's like official. So I'm like, okay, so Fowl is officially back. Does that mean Shush is officially back? Are we going to see, like, old agents from Shush and more people from Fowl? Because the possibilities are endless now, and I really want to rewatch Darkwing Duck because a lot of what happens with Fowl goes on in that series. Like, for instance, one of the characters you see at the end is Steelbeak. He's a Darkwing villain and a Fowl agent, so I definitely want to read up on that. And
Ooh.
and the one guy that you said, the day manager, the one from Funzo's, he's actually probably one of the oldest villains for like Disney. He's called the Phantom Blot. He used to show up a lot in like the old Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck comics. He's also showed up periodically, like in other shows. Like he's shown up in Mickey shorts. He's shown up in DuckTales at one point. He was even a big boss in the game Epic Mickey, and they made him terrifying. So there's like so much potential there with like the villains we haven't seen yet, and of course the villains that are returning, like Black Heron and Rocker Duck apparently, and freaking Gandra the bitch. So yeah, I'm excited.
There's just so much here, especially because they took the time to establish several of these characters, like the dangerous chemistry of Gandra D and Rocker Duck and stuff that we thought were one-off episodes. And nope, these people are with Fowl, and I'm like, it makes so much sense. And then there's the vultures who are running all of it. I'm like, oh my god.
That was the biggest thing, because I'm like, oh my god, we were introduced to some of the big baddies from the very beginning. They have been there all along, and it is so obvious that they're evil, but now it's been, like, absolutely pointed out to us, and it's just mind-blowing.
It's such a big reveal, too, and Season 3 is going to be big because, I mean, obviously they've been pushing the Darkwing Duck because they keep bringing him into things, and obviously Foul Agents were we have Darkwing Duck villains here, so I'm wondering if, Darkwing Duck's gonna take a portion of this, and we're gonna have him versus Foul, and, some of the stuff with Gandra D, with Gizmo Duck, and, like, there's potential for a lot of things going forward, but also Black Heron's alive, and now we can talk about, okay, what happened with the gummy bear juice.
I assume Webby still has it. Like, she probably keeps it in her room with all her other, like, magical artifacts and stuff she collects from her adventures. So now it's just a matter of Heron trying to get her hands on it again. Or I should say hand, because she lost the other hand.
Doug, what are your thoughts on this thing, this big thing?
So I have not really seen. I've only seen like the first episode of of Darkwing Duck. So I don't really know too much. But I mean, all in all, yeah, that. I mean, I knew they were teasing Hush from like the very beginning, and then like to see them finally like reveal that was. I was speechless, and especially like showing each character in that one scene. I'm like, holy cow! So yeah, I am very much looking forward to what they're going to do with season 3. I figure it's going to be something they're going to be like spacing out throughout the course of the season for certain.
You know what I would really like to see? I don't know if they'll ever tackle it, but it would be interesting if they actually delve into Beakley's backstory a bit more. Because we know she was a shush agent, and somehow between when she first met Scrooge and the beginning of the new season of DuckTales, she somehow became his housekeeper and has sole custody of her granddaughter. I would kind of like to see the story behind that. Because it kind of seems weird that, someone like Beakley, who is like, so into her job, was so meticulous, would, put herself on the line for the sake of mankind and fighting against foul. It seems kind of weird that she would suddenly just give that all up to become like a housekeeper and just raise her granddaughter alone. Like, I would like to see the events leading up to that, if they decide to show it.
I would also like to see more of Mrs. Beakley with Launchpad and Darkwing Duck, because she's now a fan.
I would like to see Launchpad's girlfriends and how he met those girlfriends and what the fuck does he do in his spare time that he accumulates all these girlfriends.
And now is he going to try and go after Penumbra?
To add to his list.
I honestly would like to see him become Darkwing Duck's like assistant and stop being the pilot, because we see in this season, because Della calls him out on it, he's not the best pilot.
True, and they, like you said, they do have Della back, so it would make sense if she took over piloting duties and then he went off and helped Darkwing, although that probably would limit the amount of screen time he gets. Because, I mean, I know they'll show Darkwing, like, every now and again, but I don't think he'll be, like, a main focus, at least not until we start getting into the more extreme storylines with Fowl.
I mean, there's a lot of characters now that we can utilize, and I mean, obviously there's going to be time with Gizmo Duck, there's going to be time with the main, Scrooge family, and we're probably going to have more stuff, because Jin's becoming a major thing, and the mummies of Toth Ra are still there. Kind of upset that they didn't do more in the finale, now that I think about it.
I mean, they got a huge cast to, like, show up. I mean, trying to balance and give everyone equal, like, screen time and opportunity is no easy feat. I mean, I honestly think they did great with what they had, like, considering how many characters they managed to shove in and make it and have it make sense.
That is true. Like, I am glad that Jin kicked some major ass, but yeah. And we didn't have any burritos.
No burritos.
No. Though, in Launchpad's garage, he actually has a picture of a giant poster of a burrito.
Burrito.
Launchpad was probably the funniest thing in the finale for me. Like, the car on fire, it's like, why isn't this thing starting? And then the cutout.
I was actually in here the whole time!
Or the part where he's like, we need a plan, and that plan is Darkwing. Well, we need a plan, guys. No. And that huge hero team up with, like, Quackmaster and Lena. Lena starting to learn how to use her magic, and I'm just like, oh, that's pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, and even Violet is shown exercising the magic she's learned in the library books.
There's a lot of, like, I think, preview for what's gonna come, because Violet, I think, is going to be, like, a big asset in the future. We just haven't seen her do as much, but she's clearly learning, and she's clearly an asset.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's the one who got to the bottom of what was going on with Lena and her nightmares involving Magica. So she's definitely the type that, is very logical and can see, like, the big picture where others can't.
Speaking of nightmares, that dream episode was one of my favorites, especially because you have Louie as a cat, that is my dream, okay?
It would be.
You get to be lazy and pet all the time. It's like, and then biting. It's like, I don't want to be pet anymore.
Huey's dream was my favorite. Why, Huey? Why? His freakishly long legs. Let me get that off the shelf for you.
I love Dewey University, where the sprinklers was Pep.
And, like, everything was a tribute to him. How did I fail in duology?
A plus 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 plus.
That was a nice diving into everyone's psyche. I mean, granted, a lot of them were very transparent, but I like the representation. It was almost as good as when they dove into Glom Gold's nightmare when he had amnesia.
With that being said, I think we have pretty much covered as much of the season as we can at the moment. It was very good. It was something that we hadn't really anticipated, and there was a lot of good individual episodes, but there was a lot of continuity that just we didn't see coming, and that turned into something major. Kat, what are your final thoughts?
Well, first off, I wanted to address, like, a few little things we didn't talk about, like the fact that we now have a new character in the form of Boyd, who is adorable. Like,
and Fooey.
Fooey.
Fooey!
But I do like the Doofus episode where he's introduced, and, like, the poor thing, he is a little robot boy, and he doesn't know it, but he somehow managed to completely own Doofus in the end and take him down a peg. Like, that makes him among my favorite now. It's just like, I'll transfer half your money to me because I'm your little brother, and she was my Mama too. I'm like, you little bastard. I love you. There's also the introduction of Cornelius Coote, one of Donald and Della's ancestor, and his miraculous and awesome defeat of the Beagles with the use of popcorn. That is my favorite battle strategy ever. That's
it. No more popcorn for you.
I will have all the popcorn. You shut your filthy mouth.
You and your popcorn, and yes, I like popcorn now. It's not as evil as I once thought, but still.
Yeah, I love that they took that character, because the thing is, Cornelius Coote actually is, like, an older character. Like, he's been shown up in the comics, and there's even a statue of him at Toontown in Disney World. But now he has, like, a legit backstory, and it's awesome. So I totally love him for that, and I want that popcorn. Hopefully spider-free.
Oh god, spiders in your eyes. Here's the thing. I saw this episode before Kat and Doug, and I gave Kat a warning because there was so much spiders.
Yeah, I mean, I was bracing myself,
spiders.
and I'm like, oh, it's just a few spiders, no big deal. But no, this was fucking arachnophobia level, and I'm like, oh god, no, why? What is your problem?
Why, Hooey? Why?
Why, Fooey?
And then, of course, the last thing I wanted to address was the reintroduction of Bubba. I actually did not hate his inclusion in this. I actually thought they did a good...
Clubba.
They actually did a good job with Bubba in this, and actually incorporating him with the McDuck clan. I actually thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty interesting. I did not see that one coming. I'm I'm interested to see if they're going to like bring Bubba back in other episodes or just leave it at that.
I think they're gonna leave it at that because, as I mentioned in the last season of the old DuckTales, like pretty much the entire season focused on him and Fenton / Gizmo Duck, and they were like considered among the worst characters on that show. So I really think that he's only gonna appear in this, because that was the big reveal with him, was that, you know, he's actually their ancestor, and I think that's kind of where it needs to remain. Granted, he is pretty cool, though, the fact that he was, like, able to easily acclimate to everything and pretty much give Huey an aneurysm in the process.
Another thing that we should address is the clone army.
Oh, Gyro and your clone army.
It's like,
that might have been the original. I'm not even sure anymore.
Yeah, we don't even know anymore. Like, it's like I'm just saying, army of clones will win this easily.
And let's not forget the return of Don Carnage. I was so happy.
Who does not get to sing?
That's a travesty, man. He has to sing. I hope next time he shows up, he sings. I'm pretty certain, like, because they did reveal they were going to show characters from Tailspin, so he's definitely coming back. I hope he is. Because, God, I love Don Carnage so much. I love his theatrics.
And his revenge against Dewey Duck. It's like, I don't care about the rest of them. I just want Dewey Duck.
Wait, we cannot all declare our villainous intent at once.
So many declarations of hatred.
Another character we forgot to kind of talk about was Goldie.
Yeah, she actually got a bit of character development in this too. At least, you know, in terms of letting herself get close to Louie. Because I figured they would bond over, you know, the fact that they like to scam people and they tend to be real sneaky, or at least try to be sneaky. The fact that she actually now, like, legitimately cares for him, sort of like a surrogate nephew, is actually kind of touching. Because when you think about it, if she and Scrooge ever actually did get married, he would legit be her nephew.
There's a very complex relationship that everyone has with Goldie that I really enjoyed. With that being said, Kat, final thoughts?
Oh yeah, this part of the season just blew me away. Like, I loved the first two parts because we rewatched everything. First one was great. Second one was awesome. This one was phenomenal. Like, I cannot praise it any higher. It's just every little thing that they did. Like, I can't say that there was a single episode in this particular Duck Blur, as I'm gonna call it, that I disliked. Like, everything was great, and yeah, this was just amazing. So I highly recommend it if you haven't been watching already, and I totally look forward to season 3.
And Mr. Doug?
So I do also want to address a couple things I even realized while we were talking. It's minor things that I'm wondering if we'll address at a later point in season 3 or later on if it keeps going. But in the Dewey High, we have one instance of, like, Dewey mentioning that, you know, there's this sort of inconceivable sort of, I don't even know what to call it, some sort of unformed thing that may or may not be his love interest, but he doesn't really comprehend it right now, and he doesn't quite want to. So I'm wondering if that'll be a point of character development later on, as well as he's also shown crying on the moon. So I wonder if either that was, you know, in regards to Della, or if that's something else that we are not exploring.
I'm pretty certain it was a reference to Della.
Yeah. But even so, you know, yes, this season overall, it's like, it was such a surprise. I think it was even better than the first season. But, you know, it was just, it came out, it didn't quite come out swinging, but then, like, as it went on, you realize, oh, it actually was coming out swinging. So it's like, and they just kept building, and you have these arcs of characters you didn't even realize, and it made me so happy, and I loved it, and I want to keep watching the show. I can't wait for season 3. When is it coming out?
Well, I'm pretty certain we're gonna get a Christmas episode if tradition dictates anything. I don't know how they
Tell us what happened with Santa.
I would like to hear that story, finally. Like, why does Scrooge hate Santa so much? Like, even everybody else was like, oh god, you made him dress up as the person he hates most, you monster. I'm like, oh my god, did he do something so bad that everybody else now thinks Santa's horrible?
He even has a trap set up for in case
There's
Santa
a
comes.
Santa trap.
Can we address the fact
man.
that they killed somebody with a Santa trap during the typhoon?
Yee.
Ninjas.
I watched that, I'm like, wait, did he die? Holy shit, he died.
Well, he could have jumped high enough to avoid the fire, maybe.
Yeah, or turned into a log, which the other guy did apparently.
Such a weeb.
They did the Naruto trick.
Yeah. Well.
So yeah, my final thoughts. I really loved this season. I did not see where this was going, and I did not expect it to work as well as it did. It was a really well-crafted, well-thought-out season, and I really want more. Like, this is a season that really gradually built to its climax, and in the final episode had like 3 climaxes in it, and I was it was a very good season. I'm looking forward to more. I may not be always able to keep up with the live reactions, but I do want a lot more. I'm interested to see where everything goes, and yeah, like this has me very, very excited. Unfortunately, this is the last episode of Diving Into DuckTales for now. If you guys want to keep up with the stuff that we're doing, we still have the Disney debate going. Our next episode is on the Disney classic Halloween Town, so be sure to check that out, or check the rest of the shows that I do. I do a lot of things, and yeah, I'm doing my best to power through and keep my health up, but we will always have DuckTales, because life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. In any case, I am Zenith, Warrior Princess.
I'm Kat Macberrie.
I'm Mickey Mellon! See you real soon! I'm Doug Macberrie.
And we will see you guys next time in the future, in future things, with DuckTales Season 3 and Disney Debate and other stuff, so please watch it. And yes, Mickey Mellon is the best thing ever.
Here's hoping that YouTube doesn't flag us for Mickey copyright. See you real soon!
And just remember, foul is everywhere, in everything. They're watching, so take war on the day manager.
But they will be defeated by Glom Gold, Glom Gold,
Glom Gold,
Glom Gold, Glom Gold.
Glom Gold is the best character.
All I do is win, no matter what.
Have a good one, everybody.
Greetings, this is David Kay, or of course Duckworth. Thank you for watching Diving Into DuckTales. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. If you like what you see, check out the Patreon page at patreon.com/ZenithWillRule. Duckworth out.